Hey guys, we've got a really exciting episode for you. A good friend of mine, spiritual mentor also as well, Daniel Bancroft. Today we're going to talk about our Way Forward trip that we went on, which was a Christian backpacking trip in the mountains with a bunch of other great men, and how God worked in our lives as a result of that trip. And Daniel did something that I've never heard of another hunter doing before, and you guys are going to have to tune in to hear about that. But very, very rare, very, very cool, amazing conversation that we're having. So tune in if you want to hear about it. Welcome to the Tied to the Land podcast, presented by Acres, a platform for up-to-date data, mapping, market intel, and portfolio management. This show explores the connection people have with the land, the work it takes to care for it, and the legacies that are built on it. We dive deep into the stories and experiences that make that connection so meaningful. Whether you hunt, farm, ranch, or simply enjoy the outdoors, this podcast is for you. What's going on, everybody? My name is Andrew Schultz. This is the Tied to the Land podcast, and I'm here with a very special friend today, Daniel Bancroft. How's it going, Daniel?
It's going good. It's good to be here.
Good, man. Thank you for coming in. Daniel is a great friend of mine, a spiritual mentor of mine. We go to church together, and where our relationship really blossomed was on a hiking trip, a men's Christian backpacking trip that we went on. We're going to get into that today, but man, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Really excited.
Sure.
Daniel is a really smart guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's a doctor. That's his day job. But this guy is one of the best men I know. Really strong Christian, great husband, great father. Really excited for what he has in store for us today. And
you're too kind. You're good. Okay, thanks.
He's a man of few words most times, but that's just because he's a humble guy. And so we're going to see if we can get into some good stuff here today. And I think it's going to be really good. But, man, start off, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. We were just talking before the podcast got rolling. You and I are originally from the Midwest. You're from Ohio. I'm born and raised in Illinois. But tell us about yourself, your family, your upbringing, whatever you want to share. Let's start there.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, born and raised Ohio, the northeast part of Ohio, so near the PA border. Andrew and I agree that the land here is not nearly as nice as Ohio. So used to the hardwoods, cornfields, soybean fields, stuff like that when you're hunting.
Well, it depends on who you ask.
What do you mean?
That's not nearly as nice. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think it's as nice. I like when I'm driving down the road to see like big oak trees and big maple trees, and then the fall to be like vibrant colors. And here it's a lot more drab in the fall. And when you're driving down the road, you see big woods, but it's a lot of cottonwoods, and I don't think they're nearly as pretty. It's probably just how I grew up, but that's how I feel. Anyways, so grew up northeast part of Ohio, and then just kind of lived there. I never left a 40-mile radius from my house until I moved here to Oklahoma. So
ever?
Ever. I mean, no. Like I traveled. Sure. I never like lived that far away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did a lot of like traveling to national parks and stuff growing up. But always lived to a really small Christian school. Came home every weekend to go hunting, go to church, and then went to medical school just north of town, right in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, is where I lived. So a lot of fishing, a lot of steelhead fishing up there. So a lot of fishing, a little bit of hunting, and then still came home most weekends until I got married. So moving to Oklahoma after that for residency down here in Tulsa about 6.5 years ago now, just blew my mind. It's flat here. I like the topography, but again, my heart just like, it doesn't feel quite right. But yeah, and then so I got married in medical school. After my first year of med school, my wife and I got married. A week after, actually, it was supposed to be a week, but then I got sick. So it was 2 days after my finals in medical school, which is super stressful, planning a wedding and studying for that. Yeah, my wife was like, not thrilled. I got mono, so I got super sick. I was laying in bed studying for my finals. And then I got out of my exam, drove down to her parents' house, and then got married the next day. So
Holy cow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was so sick, she's like, we couldn't go on our honeymoon. We just came back home. Like, it was pretty crazy. Yeah. And then finished up med school. My wife worked as a lab tech at a local hospital, and then moved down here. And then once we moved here, we got 3 kids now. So a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. and they keep us pretty busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, something you've shared with me, your wife is also very smart.
She's smarter than me, for sure. Yeah, and I'm not just saying that like it's legit.
Yeah. So, and she made the decision, or you guys made the decision together, rather, for her to stay home with your children instead of for her to also go and be a doctor. Like, really, really quick, just walk us through that if you don't mind.
Man, so my wife, so I'm super competitive in everything, especially school, and I was in organic chemistry, which is a second year class, and she walks in as a freshman, and the teacher actually told her, like, you shouldn't be here, you're gonna fail, you should leave. And she's like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, and so she was my main competition. She was the person who broke the curve on every exam, and so I made it my goal to beat her. And I did, but I had to work really hard to beat her.
If you can't beat the competition, just marry it.
Well, I mean, I beat her, but I had to work super hard to do it, and she just didn't care, and she was still like almost beating me, and so it was super frustrating. I actually didn't like her because of that, and ignored her for about 3 years. And then my friend, who's my lab partner, graduated, and I was like, I want to get in this biochemistry class. Can you be my partner? To my wife, to Maggie. And she's like, sure, whatever. And then she did most of the work, and I felt really guilty about it. So I like sat with her in the library to not feel so guilty, to ease my guilt, and mostly just distracted her. And I was like, oh, wow, you're actually pretty cool. Like, you're a really good Christian, like really conservative, super humble, and started dating. She was going to go to medical school. She was actually going to be a pharmacist because she was told she didn't have the personality to be a doctor. But I was like, no, I think you'd be a great doctor. You should do it. So then she applied. She got into medical school. And at that point, we were dating. And she's like, med school debt is about $250,000. And she was like, do we want $500,000 worth of debt if we're going to get married? And I was like, I mean, I don't want that much debt. And she's like, I want to stay home with kids anyway. This is a really foolish decision. So I'm like, well, we're just dating. You need to pray about it. Like, don't make it for me. And so she prayed about it quite a bit. Came to me a month later and said, I'm not doing it. Like, I called the school and said, I'm not coming. And so I was like, well, then let's get married. So,
Cool.
2 weeks later, proposed and got married 4 months later.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So how does Maggie feel about your love of the outdoors?
She actually likes it. She hates when I'm not outside because she says I'm really grumpy. Yeah. So if it's a really rough stretch at work, she's like, you should just go hunting or you should just go fishing. You should get out of the house. So she loves the fact that I like to go out. She was actually raised a total city girl. And so it was really confusing to her at first. She's like, we're going to do what? For our honeymoon, we were poor. So like once I was like no longer sick, we went camping. She's like, we're just going to camp for our honeymoon. I'm like, yeah, it's cheap. And we're outside, and that's what I like to do. And so she caught on pretty quick, and now she loves it too. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
But definitely a learning curve.
Yeah. Were you, did your dad hunt, or how did you get into it?
So my dad did not hunt. My dad was a huge fisherman growing up, but he was self-taught. His dad didn't do any of it, so he just learned to fish, had a little rowboat, John boat. My grandpa grew up in the woods just hunting and fishing, and my uncle was huge in hunting and fishing. So my grandpa went on an elk trip for 20 years straight out to Montana, just self-funded. Him and his buddies drove out, and they killed like I think 5 or 6 elk and all. But he just like it's just the experience. He would just go out and camp and hunt. He actually got lost. I don't know if I told you this. He got lost one night by himself in Colorado during a snowstorm.
Oh, no kidding.
So he just real quick. He shot an elk, and then so they were in camp and they were getting lunch. And this buddy came up and said, "Hey, there's a herd of elk. We have to go. Let's run." So he grabbed a handful of matches, threw it in his pocket, and just ran out with the jacket, and that was it. And it was in the winter. And he shot one, and then his buddy's like, okay, you need to go 4 beaver dams down and then go over the mountain. So he went 3 beaver dams down, and the 4th one was hidden, and he couldn't see it because it was like in this deep holler. So he kept walking, and then it was getting dark. He's like, I must have missed it. And snow was starting to fall, so he just made himself a fire. He was an Eagle Scout, made himself a fire, and shot off his gun, and it was like 7 miles away, but his buddies heard it, fired their gun, so he marked where they were, and just slept by himself all night. He said it was pitch black. He was scared half to death. And then the next morning he got up and just like walked a straight line and ran into camp.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, so he was like, he always told me that story growing up. I'm like, you're a boss. So yeah, he grew up hunting. He got my brother into it at a really young age. I was always too afraid to kill an animal. I thought I'd be too scared, honestly. So I would watch. I'd go with him, sit in the woods, but I never would partake in it. When I was in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, I was out with my dad, in northern Ohio. We rented this 200-acre farm, and we got a foot of snow. The deer were moving because it snowed, and it was like 2 days later. I think my grandpa had some corn out. I'm not sure. So my grandpa and brother were hunting in one spot, and then my dad and I just went to this random place off of a bedding area and sat down. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever because when you're a kid, the snow's up to my waist, and I'm like, let's go. Like it's just so much fun. And sat there. My dad did it was the second rut. Maybe it was the third rut. He did a grunt and a bleat, and this young buck came running in, and my dad just shot it and just dropped it. And I was like, that was awesome. I could totally do that. And I didn't. I mean, like, I don't just rejoice in killing things, but like it wasn't sad seeing it dead. I'm like, oh man, we're gonna eat this. Like this is awesome.
Yeah.
So from then on, I'm like, let's go. So I started hunting then. It was in third grade, and then killed my first deer in seventh grade. So there's a lot of seasons of just like sitting and not saying anything. If we saw a deer at first, we were like, that was a great day, because we had terrible scent control. We were super noisy, and so it taught me to love it because I loved it without success. Like I did it and didn't kill anything for a while. So now I can sit forever and not see anything. It's just like the joy of just sitting there and just being in the woods.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. That's the amazing part of it is it's not all about the kill. It's about just taking in what the Lord has for you and enjoying nature.
Yeah. And then the family time.
Yeah.
It's great. Just my dad, my brother and I just like driving up to the woods. We do it Sunday after church and Saturday morning. So we're driving an hour each way. It's 4 hours in the car together just talking because it's really good.
That's cool. Yeah. Core memories right there.
Yeah, for sure.
So where's your faith fit into your outdoorsmanship historically? Like have you always been a strong Christian? Have the outdoors helped mold you into a better Christian? Like, how does your faith tie in with your love of the outdoors?
Yeah, so that's a great question. My grandpa was a pastor. My wife's grandpa, actually, interestingly enough, was also a pastor. And then my mom and dad are Christians. So I grew up in the church. I don't really remember giving my life to Christ at a certain time. I guess I was 5 or 6 when they say that I did. But it's always been like, I love Jesus. I want to serve him. And then I love reading and trivia. So like Bible trivia was big at our church and school. And so like memorizing, learning that stuff, I always thought was a lot of fun. So faith has always been super important to me. A Christian walk was always really important. I think hunting tied into it because something that's lost, I feel like, in American society is solitude and silence. Sitting without your phone and back then we didn't have phones, but now without your phone and like just being quiet. So for me, hunting was always this place of just solitude, getting out, being with the Lord, praying, and just like sitting there. So I think it was really core for me whenever I had a struggle, whenever I was working through something with friends or just praying through bigger decisions, like either where to go to school or med school or like even getting married, all that stuff. It's always been, well, I'm just gonna go to the woods and sit for a while, and maybe I'll take a bow. I would always take a bow just in case, but just pray a lot. So I think hunting for that was really formative, just like learning to sit before the Lord and be quiet. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I don't know that you can have one without the other. Like I think God gave us hunting and the animals and the wildlife and the nature. It's biblical, right?
Yes.
And so where I want to go with this, and this might be kind of a messy transition, but like for me, I always told myself, which it wasn't a lie, it was true, but like I felt closer to the Lord when I was out hunting than oftentimes I did like sitting in church on Sunday.
Yeah.
And for a long time, like I let that be my little lie. I guess we'll just call it a little lie that like kept me from going to church as much as I should have, or being a part of a church, or understanding what it looked like to be a member of a healthy church. Anyway, you and I went on a Christian backpacking trip called Way Forward is the name of the organization. And I want to get into that trip, and I want to talk about in detail. And, you know, it's been not quite a year since we've done that.
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah, but I'm getting ready to go back and leading a group of men. But that trip for me, was really eye-opening, because what it made me realize about myself is when I was hunting or I was in the outdoors, I was usually my primary focus was the pursuit of the animal. And I was oftentimes treating God secondary.
Right.
And
Which is easy to.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
When you talk about being competitive, and like I'm competitive too, and I'm out there to harvest or to kill what I'm after, and sometimes out there just to soak it in, like we were talking about. But really, it was selfish desires, I guess. If
It
you had
evolves to that really quick.
Yes.
It can evolve to that
Yes,
really quick.
for sure. And what the Way Forward trip taught me was that I wasn't putting God first. I was putting pursuit of the animal first, which is a really interesting dynamic that I had never really broken down in my mind before. But that trip was what I can say, honestly, was the first time that I spent a significant amount of time in nature in pursuit of the Lord first, and everything else was secondary, right? Seeing the animals, to the weather, to even the fellowship, which was amazing.
Right.
Like I was in pursuit of God while spending time in nature, instead of the opposite, in pursuit of the animal, hoping to experience God.
Right.
So that trip was really eye-opening and life-changing for me, and that's where you and I got to know each other really well.
Yeah, it's really, we're kind of met there. We saw each other in passing.
Yeah.
Wednesday morning. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, I want to get into that trip, and then I want to fall into the other topic we talked about, which is one I'm really excited to speak with you about. But for you, what was that trip? I mean, Maggie was pretty pregnant at that time, so that was risky for you to go take the trip away from your wife and your family. But what were you seeking? What did you experience? How did it compare to your other times in the outdoors of hunting and fishing and so on and so forth?
This podcast is sponsored by Oklahoma Ag Credit. At Oklahoma Ag Credit, they combine ag expertise with relationship-driven service to help you finance what matters most. From equipment and land and everything in between, your loan options are built to support your operation your way. Step into any of their 17 branches or call 405-938-1700 or visit okagcredit.com.
Yeah, so I think first, it was hard to go for a few reasons. One, Maggie was pregnant. She always has horrible pregnancies, as you know. So always really complicated, always a lot of throughout pregnancy complications and then at delivery complications. And I do OB as well, as we were talking about. So it's I know too much. So it's oh shoot, this could happen when I'm gone. This could happen. We had nobody. I don't think we had anybody in town. Yeah, because her parents were going to come out. I think they decided not to because we told them we were fine. And we weren't allowed to take our phones on the trip. So it was going to be 3 days of me not being able to talk to her and check in. So that was really stressful from that standpoint. In terms of, so I actually wasn't supposed to go on the trip. I think I've told you this. I was actually supposed to be overseas doing mission work so part of my job is training residents, and then a small facet is we have a sending agency overseas with our trip, or with my job. And twice a year I can go for 12 days at a time to different countries to help the missionaries overseas, either doing medical lectures or seeing patients or doing spiritual formation with them. So I was supposed to be overseas at a country in Asia, and they denied my vacation because it was over Labor Day, and too many doctors had taken off already. I got in my vacation too late. So I was well, this stinks, Lord, I thought you want me to go here. I prayed about it. I did everything to go and just totally got swept out. And then the next day, Rodney mentioned in our Wednesday morning class, hey, I got an opening that just showed up. We're looking for somebody. And so I texted him, or I emailed him and said, hey, do you still have an opening? He said, yes. I talked to our scheduler, and within a day, she's yeah, we canceled this trip, but nobody cares about the end of September. You can go. And so I confirmed. So I was all right, Lord, you took this one trip away. I get to go with some guys from church that I didn't know anybody on the trip, I'm well, we'll just see what happens. So that's how I got on the trip. And so we left for the trip. I'm not really sure what to expect. I was it was all kind of older guys. You were the one guy my age, and everybody else was 10 to 15 years older than us. I was all right, we'll just we'll just see. And it was similar. I guess we'll talk about it. But I was fasting from hunting that year for several reasons. And so it's another reason I could go, because normally I wouldn't plan trips right up against when hunting season is going to start, because I didn't want there to be any reason why I felt guilty for going out. Because you have 3 kids and you're wrestling a bunch of stuff. So I was like, well, I'm not hunting. I can't go overseas. I got a week. We'll just go to Colorado with some guys from church. So showed up similar to you, pursuing God, not game, and going out with guys from church. And it was just so intentional. All of our conversations were like, where are you with the Lord? What's your story? What's God bringing you through? It was awesome to see men being vulnerable, and then seeing other men speak into their lives, like the truth of Christ, was just like incredible. And then being around, I didn't really know the leadership of the church at all. We had Chris Bell with us, who is over the youth, about to be a deacon at our church. And then Rodney Adams, who's executive director, now going to be the elder at the church. And they were open and honest and super vulnerable. And you just don't see that.
No.
And I was just this guy is telling us stuff about himself, and seeking our advice and seeking our prayers. You just don't see that. So one really encouraged me that Asbury, where we're going to church, is okay, this place is real. These people actually care about Jesus, which was super encouraging. I came home and I'm like, Maggie, this is we're members there now. This is it. These people actually care.
Yeah.
And then seeing men be men, hey, we're struggling with this and we're going to pray and seek the Lord. And not a lot of small talk. There was small talk, and small talk's fine, but real true conversations are just awesome. So yeah, I think experiencing that, and then the other component, taking our phones away. No phone, no watch, no nothing.
Yes.
So
didn't know what day. Well, kind of knew what day it was,
but
but
we know
what time it was.
How many miles we walked.
We didn't know how far we were going. They don't tell you any of that.
Nothing. They just kind of wake you up when it's time to wake up. You know, super disorienting, but also super refreshing. I'm sure everybody's tied to their phones. I'm super addicted to my phone. I actually didn't have a smartphone until residency. They said they wouldn't hire me unless I got a smartphone.
Oh my goodness!
So I had a clamshell throughout med school. Had the maps driving down the road.
Yeah.
Got all these weird looks from people, but loved it. And then, once you get an iPhone, they're just addictive. It's really hard to get off of them. And so and I was working 2 jobs. And I was working at the residency, and then also supervising nurse practitioners at urgent cares. And so, through my contract, I had to have my phone on me all the time, from 8 till 10. And so being away, not being on my phone, not having to look at it, was just incredible. It really helped me silence my soul before the Lord and be with him, which was really cool.
Yes, for sure. That was huge. I mean, it was you're going into the trip and you're thinking, how am I going to do this? In your case, you're a doctor, you're busy with work, your wife was pregnant, you've got other kids at home in the house. I mean, you're how am I going to get away from my phone? And then, in my case, same thing. I'm needed by many people.
You're busier than I am. You're on your phone most of the stops.
Well,
people.
Yeah, no, fires, for sure. I definitely use the travel to the best of my abilities without not being present with the group, But man, it was not very far out on the trail into the hike, and you're just this is awesome.
You just felt it falling off of you.
Yes, you just literally, you felt the stress and you felt the burdens, and you're even if I wanted to worry about something, I can't.
You can't, so why bother?
I'm just here. I'm here for the foreseeable future, so I'm just going to take this in and just make the most of it. And it's probably my soul has not felt that free in, really I don't know if ever, in my adult life or since my young adult life, when you're a kid, you don't really have stress, right? Yeah. You start getting older, junior high, high school, college, you think you're in the thick of it. Right. Those stresses aren't that significant either in the grand scheme of things. But honestly, for the first time in 20 years, I just felt free. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. And, my story a little bit, I went into that trip somewhat from a mindset of God, I'm trying, I'm praying, I'm going to church, I'm surrounding myself with other spiritual men and women. I'm doing all the things, but I still feel kind of distant. Yeah. And that trip, I connected with God in ways that I never have. And it was, you've heard me tell one story, and a handful of people have heard this. I want to share this really quick because I think it's cool. And usually when I tell this story, I get emotional. I'm going to try not to do that. But it was a really significant moment for me on that mountain. So you spend some time in isolation. It's not just fellowship and
Mandated
camaraderie.
isolation.
Yes.
Which was for me was another important part. Like usually, and not to take away from what you're saying, but normally you go somewhere and it's almost like there's this feeling of, if you're being really serious, like you're standoffish. And so you need to like stay in community and just sit there and talk to people, which I find really annoying. Like I like being by myself. I mean, and so like they are like, for this next hour, you're going to go and sit pick a spot on the mountain, sit by yourself, don't talk to people.
Yeah.
And it was mandated several times throughout the day, which was like super restorative. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was really good. And I don't want to reveal like all the details of the trip. There's so much I want to talk about, but I know they try to keep it like under wraps so that people can get the full experience. But for me, I think it was the very first morning. So we had already camped one night, and of course we're having a good time. You're decompressing at this point. You're getting to know the guys, but then it was that first morning where we spent some time in isolation, and I'm sitting on the side of the mountain, and I'm praying, and I'm talking to the Lord, and it was like probably upper 30s that morning. I mean, it was pretty chilly. We woke up and it was pretty chilly, and I'm like, God, I'm trying. Like, just show me you're with me. Like, just show me you're with me. I just need a sign. Like, I don't need much from you, but like, if you could just show me you hear my prayers, and you hear that I'm trying, and you see that I'm trying, like, just give me a sign. And literally, as I'm praying that, like, this hummingbird zooms by my face, like close quarters, And so a weird thing about me, maybe it's weird, maybe it's not. I love hummingbirds. I put the feeders out. I like watching them. Like, it's just this weird little
we do too. I love it.
hobby or love that I have where I really love hummingbirds. There's something beautiful and peaceful about them, and the way they move and the way they talk and interact. And I don't know, I sound like a nerd, but to me, a hummingbird has always just been like this beautiful thing. And this hummingbird zooms by my face when I'm praying this, like, show me you're with me. And it passed me, and it just hovered like 2 feet away from me, like just looking at me, like, or at least that's what it felt like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, isn't it pretty cold for a hummingbird, like, to be here? And maybe people who live in the mountains would tell me that's not, it's not uncommon for something like that to happen. But like, for me, it was like this moment of him saying, like, hey, look, I just took one of the things you care the most about and you find the most beautiful in all my creation, and I just showed it to you right there.
Right in front of your face.
Right in front of my face. And like, it was so significant, that moment, and so heavy that, like, it literally just moved me to tears on the mountain, which maybe sounds really cliche to a lot of people, but until you've experienced, like, the presence of God, like, right there answering your prayers, like, in your face, it was just heavy, man. It was really heavy, and I'll never forget that moment for the rest of my life. And there were several other moments throughout the trip, but that one sticks out to me the most because it was like towards the beginning of the trip, and I was almost just crying out to him, like, show me you're here. And he was like, bam, I'm here. I'm here with you. I hear you. And so that was really cool. But yeah, lots of other unique things happened on that trip with the other men, and their encounters, and so
and everybody had an encounter.
Yeah,
like, it was just like really cool.
Yeah. And Rodney Adams, you were talking about him. He leads our Wednesday morning men's group, and he's the executive director of our church. But he's been on this trip several times, and he'll tell you every single person that goes on this trip is like, I encountered the Lord on that mountain.
I thought he was crazy when he said that. I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, but it's true.
It is. It's cool. It's super cool. And so, yeah, from the fellowship to the food, like, it's guided. So you have a couple guides who make all your camp meals.
If Andrew's your tent mate, you get really good snacks.
Yeah. So I was definitely stocked up on snacks. I was not fasting on that trip. I mean, you got to make sure you're prepared. Spent time in the backcountry. You don't want to get dehydrated or be malnourished. I could have gone. I could have gone with no snacks and would have been just fine. But I'm an overpacker and I came prepared. But yeah, we were tent mates and got to have a lot of quality conversation just about the faith and about what was going on in our lives and several of those other men. And that's what's you alluded to earlier. When you hear other men talk about their stories and talk about what's going on in their lives and some of the things they're going through, like it makes you realize you're not alone. And then also like there's people who are going through a lot more than I am. And it's good to have that reminder sometimes.
Yeah, really good. And it was also nice to see like they're going through so much, but like they're clinging to Christ so tightly. And then hear other people speak like words of affirmation to them, like you're still doing good. Like here's where you can do better, but you're still doing really good, which is like awesome.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
encouraging. Yeah.
No, it was good. So, Way Forward Adventures is I think it's Way Forward Adventures.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the organization, based out of Del Norte, Colorado. Super incredible trip. So I'm getting ready to lead a group of men from the Arrowhead organization, and really excited about that. Really excited about what God has in store for them. So if you could be praying for myself and my crew, June 13th through the 16th is our time on the mountain.
Nice.
So I'm super pumped for cool mountain weather
it's gonna be awesome.
around that time of year, but it's going to be good. Anything else from that trip stand out to you?
Oh man, not sure. Oh, it's been long enough. I feel like a lot of. I think the biggest thing, like my biggest takeaway from that trip was one. Well, I guess two biggest takeaways. One, the Lord's timing. So I was super ticked that I couldn't go on the trip with my friend with IHII. And like that trip, going on that trip was like the most beneficial thing for me, definitely in the past year, because the connections we made, like the friends that we made, and just like realizing like this is our home. Now we go to church now, and it's like, oh, I see something from the trip. Haven't seen him in 6 months. You talk to him, like just like you have like true friends that now, you know,
an unbreakable bond was forged on that mountain.
It was really cool. I just saw Santiago the other day. He's leading a trip, and just great, you know. And then I think the second thing, and probably a bigger takeaway, was like the power of prayer. So I grew up like my grandpa, who was a pastor, was like this powerful man of prayer. He was over the whole region of like the denomination where we were, and so I grew up watching him pray, and just like he was just like you felt the presence of Yahweh when you were around him. It was just like you walked into his house, it was just like palpable, it was just incredible. And then I always grew up and loved praying and felt like really close to the Lord when I was praying, and just like saw the Lord answer my prayers in certain ways. It was like, okay, Lord, like you are here, like I don't know, just like it was really cool. And then as I got busy in work, I would pray, but not nearly as much, not nearly as fervently. Didn't spend the time with it. When we were on the mountain, through like several different things, like the Lord just like, you are not engaging me, and you're not fighting for your brothers and sisters in Christ in prayer. And like I've given you that gift to like pray for people, and you're not doing it. Like why aren't you doing it? So I've been a lot more committed to just like having prayer time, like committed times, like actually praying. Be it specific people, specific things, like you need to just sit and pray with this. And it's been crazy taking the time to do that. The Lord will just lay like, you need to pray for this person about this thing. And it's totally random. I'm like, okay, Lord, like whatever. And I'll do it for 2 weeks. Then I'll feel like, okay, you don't need to pray about it anymore. Like that was weird. Then I'll talk to the guy or whoever. And it was like, oh yeah, like I was going through this. It's good that you prayed for that. It's just like, you gotta be kidding me. So just like, okay, the Lord is at work. As Christians, we have the Holy Spirit within us, like, and we need to like engage Him in prayer. And so like that was a huge takeaway for me, which is still like, I'm still engaging in that. It's been really beneficial for me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Cool. Yeah, you said two things. Number one, like the isolation on the mountain in prayer, what it taught me about myself and my own prayer life is even when I'm praying, majority of the time, I'm allowing myself to be distracted. But like my phone is within earshot's distance, or my family is nearby, or whatever it might be. Well, there's no distractions out there,
Right.
And I was like, I felt more, I guess you could say, face to face with the Lord, and that was, I really feel like, due to the isolation, like, and so then it reminded me of like all the places in Scripture where it's talking about Jesus retreating into the wilderness to spend time in prayer. And I think there's more to that than just like, oh, he took a walk. I mean,
for sure.
He was intentionally...
They couldn't find him. They were searching for him.
Yes.
They could not find him. Yeah.
He was intentionally isolating himself so that he could be better positioned to connect with, God the Father. And so for me, I was like, holy cow, this is eye-opening for me. Like, I need to get away into nature and really be more intentional about how and where I'm praying, I guess.
I think it's also the lie we tell ourselves in our society. Like, we need to be super busy and do a bunch of stuff. And I love this guy, Dallas Willard. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Okay. So a theologian out in California. He died in 2012. But he always says, you can do way more through prayer than without prayer, meaning you can take off. Let's say you work 80 hours a week. And you don't have to, but you do. He would say if you work 60 hours a week and then spend those other 20 hours in prayer, you'll actually get way more done. Because like prayer is just efficacious for like what we're doing, because God cares about what we're doing. And so for me, it was just like, okay, like I don't need to be so busy all the time. I can like have some space to like sit there and like engage the Lord in prayer. And I mean, I believe, like, I hate people. I don't hate people. I hate when people are lazy, and I hate when people encourage you to be lazy in the name of like spirituality. Well, you just need more rest. Like, no, you should work hard. Like, just work harder. But you need to rest. You need to work from a place of rest. And I think that's mostly spiritually. Like, you can be exhausted, but if you are like spiritually tuned with the Lord and working hard from the strength of His Spirit, like you're going to accomplish a lot more. I think that the trip really was like good for me in that. Like, I just read a book, I guess it was the beginning of this year, on the practice of the presence of God by Brother Lawrence. He was a monk in the 1600s. He wrote how like continually engaging in prayer throughout the day is possible, and how you have like this almost solitude of your soul, like as you're engaging in others, which is like this weird idea. But it's been really encouraging for me. So like going from the mountain, engaging in prayer, and then trying to do it here in solitude. But I mean, we are busy. Like, that's just the nature of our life right now. We got 3 kids, and I work quite a few hours at the hospital because I work hospital clinic in OB. And so it's like, how do you have solitude in the midst of that? And so one, like carving out times to be quiet before the Lord, but also like, how do I engage with Christ present with us now, even as we're talking, and like be prayerfully considering His will and like speaking to Him during that. He really talks to that a lot, which is like super beneficial for me. So it's like true solitude even in the midst of the busy, and then the busy doesn't feel as busy. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It definitely does. You referenced the power of prayer earlier, and we've been talking about the trip, and it reminded me of Santiago's story prior to the trip. And I felt like that was maybe one worth sharing as a testament to the power of prayer.
For sure.
So Santiago is a guy that we go to church with, a really good guy. Really enjoy hanging around him. But anyways, leading up to the trip, he had been having some back problems, and you tell me if I'm butchering this story at all, but to the point where it was like debilitating. Like,
he couldn't get up.
Like, he couldn't get up out of bed, and he was already committed to the trip, and then he was like, I don't see how I'm going to be able to make this work. And it kind of like the news of that moved through like our men's group and the people who were getting ready to go on the trip, and everybody was like, can we just cover him in prayer? Can we? I'm
pretty sure if you guys went into his house and laid hands on him.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're right. I don't know who did that. If it was Josh or who it was, but anyway, covered him in prayer. And then it was like,
he woke up the next morning and it was
gone. His back problems were gone, and he went on this trip. And the dude was a hard charger the whole time. Like,
he beat everybody up the
like I'll never forget it. I mean, he was just getting after it. And I was like, man, how incredible is this? Like days ago, he couldn't even get out of bed. And now he's hiking up this mountain like it's his job.
Looking
you know
back,
what I
like,
mean?
where y'all coming?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, man, I'm a huge believer in the power of prayer, but I can't say enough good things about that trip. If anybody is interested in going on that trip, please reach out. Would love to tell you more about it. I'm sure you would be happy to be a resource for those people as well.
100%.
But very, very good. I'm excited for what God has in store for us this next go around. Wish you could be going. I'm gonna feel a little lost without my old tent mate. But anyway, so all that being said, you referenced it earlier. One of the main things I want to talk with you about today is something that I think is really cool and really interesting, and not something I've ever heard of a hunter or an outdoorsman doing before, which is what you're calling a spiritual fast. So you just wrapped up what was a year-long spiritual fast, or spiritual fast from hunting.
Correct. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
Fast from hunting.
Yeah.
Where you gave up hunting for a year. And I don't know of any hunters that have ever done that. I've definitely not done that since I was introduced to hunting. It has been like my lifeblood. Like I need it. I love it. I enjoy it. I make memories with others doing it, but you gave it up altogether. And this was, you were already in the middle of the fast when like you and I really got to know each other.
Correct. Yeah.
And so tell us about that. Like, I don't want you to skip any details. What went into like the leading up to this fast from hunting? What made you believe that it was necessary? What did you encounter throughout? Like, I want to hear all about it, but particularly what led you to the decision to do that? Hey guys, this podcast is sponsored by Arrowhead Land Company. Their mission is to create, inspire, or advance a connection to the land in every person throughout the world, and empower every person to pursue a better life through the freedom that comes from land ownership. These guys are the best of the best in the rural real estate business. If you need help buying or selling a farm, ranch, country home, anything that could be considered the rural lifestyle, give Arrowhead Land Company a call.
So I started studying when I was a kid. When I was about to graduate high school, I started to think, like, does hunting have too much of a grip on my life? I wasn't skipping church for hunting, but I was wanting to. Just like, it's a perfect morning, and I know the turkey are gobbling, and here I am in Sunday school. I could be out there with you, Jesus, killing a bird. I'm laughing because it's the fall. It's this fall in Ohio. It's November. A cold front's coming in, and you're just like, the Bucks are running right now.
Yes.
And I'm not there with them. And so, like, you're mad about it all church. And it's just like, so I was like, praying through that. I feel like I think it's true. I think I got in a better spot, and then got med school. I didn't have anywhere to hunt. It's like I was in Cleveland, Ohio, surrounded by the city. Onto some game lands, but the game lands there are super picked over. So I did a lot more fishing. Fishing I love. It doesn't have the grip on me that hunting had. So I go steelhead fishing after class all the time. Just like sit there in the national park, just like a wash. It's just beautiful up there. So was in a better spot. Moved down here, and then people in the residency program where I went say they like hunting, but it's like, I like hunting. I'll go once a year. And I was like,
I like hunting. I'm obsessed with it.
And I was like, you are not a real hunter. Like, you're so beta. Like, get a gun and like go out. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so it became known, like, oh, Daniel, like, he's like a real hunter. I go out like 30 times intern year, just like whatever, or maybe a second year. But it was just like, I would go out all the time. Which during residency was like quite a bit to get out that much. I was like always out. And so I was in church, I think it was my second year of residency. It was praise and worship. We were going somewhere else out in Coweta, and we were singing some song, and I just felt the Lord say, would you give up hunting for me? And I sat there and I said, yeah, like I absolutely would. And I meant it. Like, I will give this up. And I just felt the Lord say, like, good, I'm glad you would, but don't. Like, you need to keep hunting. Just for several reasons. One, like, you need to get quiet. I felt the Lord say, I don't want your family to be an idol for you. And hunting, like, makes you get away from them, like, be away from them. I was like, oh, good. Like, I don't need to give it up, but I'm glad I was willing to.
Let me pause you really quick because you said something really interesting that I feel like our society does. You just said, the Lord doesn't want your family to become an idol for you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people allow their families to become an idol. They're thinking like, well, it's my family. I mean, what's more important than my family? But can you really quick, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but can you elaborate on that? Like what that looks like and why that's important?
I mean, I'm a newer dad, so there's a lot smarter people than me out there. I mean, I think, so Mitch Dunnick, who's our program director, served in Afghanistan in one of the like most high at-risk places, and I'm getting somewhere with this. I think one of the most at-risk places when the Taliban was really strong there, and set up a residency program, a Christian family medicine residency program. And his in-laws and friends told him, like, you are an idiot. Like, why would you ever take your kids there? And he was praying about it. He's like, I really feel like God's calling me here. And the Lord said, like, I am father to your children. I can save them more than you can. Like, do you trust me or not? And I think like that's a good example of like your family is not your idol. Like he was not worshiping or making decisions based on his children. He was making decisions based on what he knew God called him to do. And then it was really successful. Like the Lord really moved mightily through what he did. And so for me, it's like, okay, Lord, am I making decisions, what is right or wrong, what is best and how I spend my time, primarily based on how my kids are going to feel and how my wife is going to feel, or is it how like you are going to feel about it and what I feel like you're calling me to do? Which is hard because, when you're busy at work and the Lord's like, you need to go overseas. It's like, no, Lord, I don't want to. I want to spend time with my family, but am I willing to do that? Or, my friend needs me to cover a shift and I just got off another shift. Am I willing to do that? Like, I think I'm supposed to, but Maggie's been at home with 3 kids and they're crazy, and she's exhausted. Am I going to do what... And Maggie's great. She always tells me to work more. Like, you need to help these people. But, in the back of your head, it's like, should I be home with my wife, helping her, or should I do what I think is the right thing to do here and what God's calling me to do? And personally, like, I love my wife and I want to help her. And I try not to be a people pleaser, but it's hard with your family. Like, I want them to love me and know that I love them and want what's best for them. And so am I going to do what I think they are going to perceive is best, or am I going to do what I think God knows is best, and just walk that tension, like walking that out?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really easy to idolize your family, especially for me. Like, Anyways, I don't think this is your question.
Well, no, it definitely does. I mean, I think so many people do that. Like, and that's people always say God, family, but really, I think a lot of times it's family, God.
With this excuse of, well, if I'm not around my kids, then my kids can't see me honor God, and so they're going to resent God. Well, it's like, it's kind of backwards. Like,
yeah.
If you're serving God, God's going to take care of them.
Yeah.
Like they need to see your example.
But then also on the flip side of that, like you have a supportive spouse who yields to your leadership and yields to you when you say, hey, honey, I would love to do this for you, but I feel like the Lord is calling me to do this right now. And, maybe even sometimes against her own will is like...
Oh, for sure. I mean, Maggie's absolutely wonderful. Like, I could not have married better. But, I mean, as every marriage, like, there are times when it's like, the Lord wants me to do this. And she's like, are you sure? Because, like...
Do you need to pray about this a little more,
if
Daniel?
If you say it, like, then, okay, like, I trust you, you're hearing the Lord. But, like, that's going to be really tough. And so, yeah, it's tough. And there are times where she's like, I really don't want you to do that, but okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I interrupted you. You were talking about you're in a worship service and you felt like the Lord was calling you to give up hunting, but maybe not yet. And then...
Well, he said, will you give it up? And I said, yes. And again, this is like a spiritual, like a conversation, like not like a verbal conversation.
Through prayer.
Right. Will you give it up? Yes. You don't have to. Great. So kept doing it, which was honestly a huge blessing. My next year I was chief resident, which was super tough. And like I spent a lot of the time in the woods, like praying through stuff. So it's really good. But then like I felt the next year, so when I graduated from residency and I was an attending, the Lord say like, hey, kind of prick my heart again. And I was like, I've already offered it to you. And you said it was good. Like, I need this. And so I actually started using that against Maggie, or she would be like, hey, you used to work a ton of shifts. And at that point I had 3 jobs. I had like the supervising nurse practitioners, I guess 4 jobs. Residents, I was over the residents as a teacher and attending, and then I was a hospitalist at a local hospital with the system, and then I also worked ER out in Western Oklahoma. And so I would work like several hours, come home, and just be toast. And I'd be like, hey, I gotta go to the woods because 1, it's season, and 2, like I'm tired. And I was like, and the Lord said, like, I need this to be restored, And so she was like, we also like need to see you. You're just working a ton. And so I started using this like idea of I gave it up, but I don't have to right now. A lot internally, some externally, as an excuse to go hunting more. And then that was the first year out of residency. The second year out, I think it's my 3rd year out. Maybe this is yeah, that's right. So it was like turkey season and deer season, first year out of residency. Second year, turkey season was coming up, and the Lord just it kept getting more frequent. Like the Lord just saying like the Holy Spirit was like, "Is this an idol? Yeah, like you need to give this up." I was like, "No, it's not. Like it helps me to be near you." But what I realized when I was in the woods during deer season is instead of like sitting with the Lord and like being quiet, like you sit on a beautiful morning and like the sun comes up and you just like this deep joy just illuminates you. You know that feeling? Just like, yes, like Lord, like I got that less and less and less when I was out in the woods. It was more of I need to be out here, and I want to be out here, and this is mine. Like I deserve to be out here, and that was really stripping the joy from even doing it away from me. And then it was like the guys at work would be like, "Hey, like, are you seeing anything? Are you killing anything? What are you doing?" And so then it was like this. Well, they expect me to be this hunter. Like I need to go out and perform, or else like my reputation's at stake. No, I mean really.
Yeah, right.
And then so I was like, well, I need to go out because I need to see stuff, and then whatever, and then I'll get on my phone a lot and like scroll through football scores, or like it was during the primaries, so like what's Trump saying, what's this person saying, what's this person saying, just reading about all that stuff. And so I'd be like, okay, I need to go, and I would intend to like, Lord, I'm going to go and try to sit with you, but then I would be in the woods and I couldn't sit still. Like I would sit still, but like mentally and internally I just wasn't still. And so all winter the Lord just kept saying like, hey, like next year, and I was just like, no, like I'm not going to. And so Wednesday morning, so I went on the Way Forward trip because I was supposed to be overseas and couldn't go. Right before I was supposed to leave overseas, Rodney Adams Wednesday morning said, we're talking about Jesus and the Pharisees, and how the Pharisees said, it is better for one man to die than the nation perish, right? Or one man to die for the nation or something like that. And Rodney made the point, the Pharisees their task was to know the word, to teach the people the word of God, and then make the people like, one, like know and therefore obey his commandments, but 2, like recognize the Messiah when he came. And they had this position in the Roman society of leaders, and they held so tightly to that position. We need to be leaders. We need to have this power. This Jesus is a threat to that power. We should kill him. When their whole job to have that power was, we need to teach the people so they can recognize the Messiah. So like they had their position and they totally botched it. If they had just recognized the Messiah and like accepted him, then they wouldn't have lost their positions potentially, But they did reject Jesus. And so Jesus died, which was horrible, but also praise be to God. And then 70 years later, they lost their positions anyway. Like Jerusalem was sacked, and the temple hasn't been rebuilt since. So really just a tragic story of like rejection for the sake of keeping your power and then losing it anyway. And Rodney made the point, like if they had just accepted Jesus, like he would have restored to them. If they had given up their power to Jesus, he could have restored to them like their position, And then he said, so all of you guys, what are you holding on to that you're not willing to give up for Jesus? Give it to him and he will restore it to you, but you have to lay it at his feet. You have to. And the Lord just right there said, it's hunting, for you, it's hunting. And I was like, maybe. Like I finally was like, okay, maybe. And then we went and Andrew Forrest said the exact same thing during his communion homily. And I was like, They always say similar things without and he said the exact same thing. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Maybe. But then there was an earthquake in Burma. And so it's not Burma now, but I can't always pronounce the name right, so we'll say Burma. It's its old name, the country. And there was like a huge humanitarian crisis, and we put together a task force to go, and I was asked to go on that trip. And so we were going to go on it was going to be a pretty hardcore trip, it sounded like. So we're going, and they asked me to go, and I prayed about it. I was like, okay, Lord, yes. But then I was really nervous about it because there's definitely a lot of risk from governmental military and stuff going. And so just prayed, Lord, I'll go. I'm saying yes, but if something's going to happen where I'll be traumatized when I come back and not be a good dad to my kids, or if something bad's going to happen, don't let us go. And it's crazy. I said specifically thwart my stuff, don't let me go. And we had a week to work with the embassy to get our papers to get in there. And the day before we were going to leave, they called and said, hey, Daniel Bancroft's passport, the wrong number was written down. And I was like, well, that's kind of what I prayed for. That's not good. Wow. So it kind of held up the trip. And so they kind of scrambled. And I didn't write it down wrong. It was a secretarial thing. We turned in all of our stuff, and it was in wrong. And then the embassy essentially said we don't want American help because of a lot of stuff that's going on there. It's actually rated not quite as bad, but in the realm of North Korea, the government really hates people, open borders and people coming to help and stuff like that. So the trip was canceled. And the reason this matters is because I was going to be gone during Holy Week. And because of that, I no longer was going to be gone during Holy Week. So I was like, well, this is my first year at Asbury. Holy Week there is I love Holy Week, but churches don't really embrace it, I feel like. Protestant churches don't embrace it as much as I wish they would. But Asbury really embraces it. And so we have Good Friday service. We have Stations of the Cross, obviously Easter. And so Wednesday, went to Wednesday morning Bible study, went to the service, communion service, and then that afternoon I was like, all right, well, I'll do Stations of the Cross. So have you done Stations of the Cross?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
So first one, you sit in silence. Second one, it's the coins, right? So I'm sitting there holding the coins, and it says Judas betrayed Jesus for the silver. What would you betray Jesus for? And I felt the Lord say, it is hunting for you. Would you betray me for hunting? And I was looking at these coins, and I'm like, the way that I'm acting now, yeah, I would. So that's not good. And so I put them down, and I think I should correct myself. I don't think the Lord said a year at that point. He said, would you give it up? I just kept saying no. And then you have to write down things that are really troubling you on this this chalk wall or whatever. And so I think I may put hunting and fishing down. I'm not sure. And then you go and you feel the scourge, and you feel the crown of thorns, and then you sit there, and then you have to nail your sins to the cross. And I just went up there, and I was like, all right, Lord, fine. So I put hunting down, and I felt like the Lord said not fishing, so I put hunting down and nailed hunting to the cross. And I said I would not hunt again until I nail something else next year. So I did that, and then I didn't tell anybody for over a month. So it was opening day of turkey season, the next Monday, I think. And I was all amped up to go. And all my friends at work were texting me about going because, a couple of them were going out. And so I just, didn't say anything. I told my brother, that was it. Didn't tell my parents or Maggie. And halfway through season, I was like, hey, Maggie, I'm not hunting. She goes, yeah, I noticed. What in the world? Why haven't you been out in the woods? And so I told her, and she's like, that is not from me. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I don't want you to quit hunting. And I was like, oh, I know it's not you. She goes, you're actually happier when you do hunt. I'm like, I know. That's part of the problem, I need to give it up. And so she's like, okay, well, so be it then. Don't go. So she's super supportive, but it was also it was nice to know, I want you to go. I don't want you to stop. It's not annoying to me that you go, but also if this is what you want, support you in it. So, yeah. So that's, and then this is really helpful. So I was meditating through Philippians, because a lot of my excuse, right, is hunting is, and I'm hunting again, hunting is not a sin. Hunting is great. So my excuse was, if hunting is so good for you, which I think it is, why would God call me to stop doing it? If hunting is so great for me and good for me spiritually as it has been. And so I was reading through Philippians, and this famous passage, for me to live as Christ, to die as gain, right? Yeah. And it goes, if I'm to go on living in the flesh, this will mean fruitful labor for me. Yeah, what shall I choose? I do not know. I'm torn between the two. I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is better by far. But it's more necessary for you that I remain. Then he goes on. And that's the NIV translation, which isn't the best translation, but that's what I started memorizing as a kid. So you got to stick to it or else you botch everything. So where he says, like, but what should I choose? Choose there is better, and it's corrected in the ESV. It's, but what should I desire? So he's like, but what should I desire, Lord? Like, should I desire to be with you, to die, or to keep living here and like serve these Philippians and other churches? And really, he talks like he's serving through suffering. He's in prison as he's writing this letter. But what should I choose? So, but really, what should I desire? So, what should I want? I don't know. I'm torn between the two. I eagerly desire to depart and be with Christ. But that word desire there is actually lust. Like, he's lusting after like this improper desire to be with Christ. So he's here in prison serving the churches. And later he talks like he's bringing joy to the churches through working. And like the Lord is working mightily through him still. But he is like inappropriately desiring to be in heaven. And I'm like, how can you inappropriately, how can you describe like lusting after being with Jesus in heaven? Like, what could be better than that, you know? And so I was like, well, that's kind of me with hunting. Like, this can be a really good thing. Like, being with Jesus in heaven is obviously a really good thing, but wrongly desired, it's like destructive. And so, Lord, I guess like I'm going to give it up. I think this was like the first couple of weeks of my fast that I got to that passage. Like, I'm going to give it up. Because if that is bad for Paul, then how much more hunting can be for me?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, and we don't have a lot of time left, so I want to get into this with a few specific questions. But like, once you made the decision you were going to fast from hunting, did you have any spiritual attacks? Do you remember encountering anything specifically that like caused you to second guess your decision or try to stray away from it?
So well, maybe this is a spiritual attack. I think specifically, I never wake up early. Like, it's harder for me to wake up early. And there was 2 mornings where I woke up wide awake at 4 on like a perfect morning that I happened to be off during turkey season. And I was like, Lord, I only have to like, I woke up. I never wake up. This must be from you. Like, I'm just going to go. And I actually got up and started to get my stuff ready. And the Lord's like, dude, you nailed this to the cross. Like, you said you weren't going to do it. Is this real or not? And I was like, okay, fine. So I went back to bed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I never wake up. Definitely woke up twice on like perfect, clear, no wind, 80-degree mornings.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call that attack or not. But
So
definitely temptation.
What do you feel like you gained as a result of this fast from hunting?
So several things. I think the first, I was basing a lot of like my worth and my relationships on hunting. So one, I would rather talk to a hunter than a Christian, right? Like, if I'm somewhere and somebody's wearing camo, I'm going to go talk to them over somebody who's dressed up nice and says, oh, I love Jesus. Because I'm like, I have more in common with that hunter. And what the fast taught me was like why, and I think specifically it was that hunter knows what makes me tick, more than this guy does, like, because he gets hunting, and that's like I just said earlier, like, that's my lifeblood. And so I think the Lord said, like, hunting is your lifeblood, but should it be, or should I be? Should your relationship with me be? And so I've actually developed a lot more broad array of friends, or I guess friends, acquaintances, however you define the term, over the last year, and like specifically like on like good things. Like, okay, this person doesn't hunt, but he's like an ardent follower of Jesus, and I can befriend him even though he doesn't love to hunt, because I'm not hunting this year anyway, so I don't have to talk about it. So like I was able to talk about things that I actually cared about and realize like, oh, like we have a lot more in common, and like you love Jesus, and like that should be the driving factor of my relationships, not like, do you like to hunt or fish?
Yeah.
For me, it was actually really helpful. Yeah.
Well, I can definitely relate to what you're saying, because as I've grown in my faith, like I've assessed my friendships and my relationships, and that Way Forward trip, another thing it showed me was what it looked like to be surrounded by true men of God, men who were striving to enhance their relationship with the Lord, striving to be better husbands and fathers through spiritual counsel and spiritual guidance.
Right. Yeah.
And like, although I have some incredible friendships with great men, people who love the same things I do, my eyes were opened to like what it looks like for men to chase after the Lord, not just a deer or an elk or whatever it might be, you know? And so I can relate to what you're saying there because when you have that in common, like you're two men with different backgrounds, different interests who are both trying to get closer to the Lord, and it has nothing to do with hunting, you're like, okay, there's this whole other world of guys that exists out there that have nothing to do with a mutual interest in the outdoors.
Right, which is really healthy.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me. I think the other thing, again, relationally, like, so one of the residents right now that we have, he actually holds the title for the largest archery buck shot in Western Oklahoma. He's like the real deal.
Wow.
Like big time. And so he was coming in as an intern. So he's going to be a second year now. He's still an intern. And if I was not fasting from hunting, our relationship would be totally based on hunting. You know, like, because he's like, he loves to hunt and he's really good at it. And like, that's just what we would talk about. But because I was fasting, he actually made an intention to not talk to me about it. He's like, I don't want to like mess up your fast. Like, we're just not going to talk about it. But he's also like a super strong believer in Christ. And so our relationship is entirely based on, he has kids the same age as us. Like, it's based on Jesus and then like obviously medicine, because that's like what we're doing. And then hunting's just totally like an aside, which is like so weird for me to have like this other guy who loves to hunt. And like, we'll talk about it. And like, when we do talk about it, like it's a lot of fun, but it's not the most important thing, even close. And so like relationships are just like restored. Like Christ is now like totally the center, which you should have been anyway, you know, but like it's just totally restored that. And they're really good. And so Rodney was right. He said, the Lord will restore it to you if you just give it up. And that was the one prayer he said, Lord, I will give this to you. But like, I want you to restore it. And I want you to give it back to me restored. And I felt him say like, you will get it back, but you have to give it up. And it's totally been like, he's been faithful to that. He's given it back in a way that I couldn't imagine, which is like a lot healthier and a lot better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you've since gone hunting. Your annual or your year-long fast is up.
Yeah.
You feel a different peace when you walk into the woods?
For sure. The joy's back, you know? So like this idea of like, oh, I need to be on my phone, like actually enjoy leaving my phone in the car if it's possible, because I can do that now. And like just sitting there in the silence before myself, like I think a lot of times when we aren't willing to sit in silence is because like we're not willing to face ourselves, right? And so I think there's a lot of things I just wasn't wanting to face. And so I was hiding beneath my phone, like, oh, I'm looking up stuff that's important. That's not really important. And so like having a year to like fast and pray, like the Lord exposed a lot of things in my heart, relationships with my kids, my wife, like a lot of stuff that like is being restored and has been restored. And so like I can just sit in the silence now a lot easier, which is like really good. And so like I think that's like a key part of like the joy of hunting is like learning to sit in the silence and then love it and love the God's creation. And so that's been restored.
That's really awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So,
So to kind of wrap things up here, what would you say to someone who is looking in the mirror and they say, yep, hunting has become an idol for me. Hunting is getting in the way of my relationship with the Lord or my relationship with my family or whatever. Like it's all I can think about. It's all I care about. It's all I want to do. But wow, I just listened to Daniel's story about fasting from hunting, and maybe there's something to that. I mean, I could never do that, but maybe there's something to that. Okay, I guess I'll think about it some more. Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be, like at all. I thought it was going to be the worst thing. Like I told the Lord, like for a few reasons. One, I want to teach my kids how to hunt. And if they don't see me hunt for a year, they're not going to like it, which would like break my heart, you know? That's actually one little caveat, which we don't have time for, but I felt like the Lord say, you can take your son squirrel hunting, because like squirrel hunting, there's no pride in squirrel hunting. Like you go out and sit in the woods and your kid shoots a Nerf gun around, at least that's, you know, because we just keep it really light and we don't see anything. But just like, but him seeing me hunt, like he loved it when I brought a deer home and all that stuff. So like I was afraid like, oh, my kids are going to learn that I really don't care about hunting. And I'm not going to have solitude. I have no peace. Like, what am I going to do? And that was totally restored. One, my kids are more interested in hunting now than they were when I was going out a lot more. Because like I'm home, we talk about stuff, and like I'm more willing for them to go with me and mess stuff up now because I just don't care as much.
Yeah.
In a good way. And two, like it was the spiritual benefit I got. Like I just can't describe enough. Like the joy that I have now is far and above what I had before. And even the joy in a sunset. Like I don't know who doesn't like a sunset, but like when I'm in the woods, when hunting is like totally not the priority, which is still like a fight to let it not become the priority as I'm re-engaging it, which is a whole other topic. But like the joy that I have now and the peace that I have now is way more in a really like awesome way. So yeah, it's not as hard. The first few weeks is hard, and like during the rut, it's tough for sure.
Yeah.
But other than that, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. And then like the whole like, well, people think that I really love it. One, who cares? Two, like they still know that I like it. And my kids, like, actually, they like it more now than they did before, which is interesting.
Yeah,
so,
that is interesting. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what went through my mind when you shared this with me and was on the way forward trip that you told me about this. I was like, this is somebody I need to spend more time around. Like, this is somebody, like, I don't know if I could do this. And still, Daniel, I sit here at this table with you, and I'm like, could I do that? I probably need to do that, but am I strong enough
you could do it.
to do that?
You're not strong enough, but the Holy Spirit is.
Well, amen. But dude, I think it's so incredible, and I would love to talk more about it. But I think it's incredible, and I think as lovers of hunting and the outdoors, we as men and women too, there's plenty of women who love hunting and probably treat it as an idol, but like change your perspective. Do I need to take a break from this? Do I need to think about this? Now, I don't know if God's been placing on my heart to do that quite yet, but maybe He will.
Yeah.
And you've inspired me to be ready for that call if He comes knocking.
I don't know if you'd ever be ready for it, Just like, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, Lord. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your testimony and just some of the things you've been through, your connection to the Lord through the outdoors, and then your connection to the Lord through a break from the outdoors,
Yeah.
I think it's a super cool story and one that I appreciate you sharing, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the share.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
absolutely. All right. My name's Andrew Schultz. This is Daniel Bancroft. This is the Tied to the Land podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.